Today what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to resin this table that I've upcycled from an old table drum. Now I want to make sure that I use something that's really hard wearing on here as a resin and that cures really hard. And this is the resin I'm going to be using, the T-Expert Easy Coat tabletop resin. And the reason is this cures super hard, it's sandable, it's high gloss, it's self-leveling, and it is so easy to use. Use it as a 2-to-1 mix. I wouldn't use anything else on a tabletop, on coasters, or anything like that, because I know that it works really well. I know that you can put hot cups of tea directly on it, and I know that it is easy to use. Before I do that, I need to prep this. I want to make sure it's as dust-free as possible. Now, if you want to know how I upcycled this, check it out on my other channel. I'll link it at the end of this video, and I'll also link it in the description. And what I'm going to use is this insulation tape to go around the edge of this, because I don't want the resin to drip down onto the edge at all. Popping this insulation tape on really helps with, if it does drip down for any reason, it really helps get that off. It just takes a few seconds to go around. All I need to do is pull back this bit. Now, it's not going to stick to this bit because I'm actually not putting this on really thick. I just want a light coating of it, and then once it's had a light coating, if I feel it needs to have another coating on the top, I'll give it a light sand, and I'll show you how to do that. This is another example of why it's so important to use the correct resin for the correct job. I know a lot of people have one resin and they want it to do everything, but unfortunately it won't. Different resins are designed to do different things. So as I said, this needs to be mixed up as a 2-to-1. Now, I don't need to mix up a lot for this because I only want a thin covering over it the first time. Other than that, so it's not going to need much, but I am going to use my large bowl that comes in my set. And if you want to get hold of my amazing resin toolkit, then it's in the description below. So I need 1 part B, which is the hardener, and then 2 parts of the A. The hardener is a lot thinner than the part A, so what you'll find is it will mix in quite well, and you'll be able to see when it's fully mixed because you won't have any of the streaks left that are in it as you start to mix. Let me show you. So at the moment, that part A is sat on the top there, and as you start to mix it, you'll get streaks come through it. I think they're showing up. So you'll know when it's fully mixed because it won't have anything like that, and it normally takes about 4 minutes. So now we've got that mixed up, what I'm going to do is pour a little bit in the middle. Now, I'm not too worried about bubbles in this because it's going to be a really thin coat and I'll be able to burn those off very easily. I'm going to be using this flexible silicone spatula that also comes in my kit to be able to coat this over with. What I'm going to do is get right to the edges like this and then stop. And the surface tension of this resin should prevent this from flowing any further, but we do have that tape there in case it does. Now, I'm not going to overload this because that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want this all to pull or to sit into the middle. And once I've got everything all covered, then I can start adding a little bit more at a time. I've got this as level as I possibly could get it, but this doesn't fit on my leveling table, so I've had to kind of make do with it. It's just too big. Okay, so now I'm okay with that. Getting spread out now. I'm going to put a bit more around the middle, or towards the edge, I suppose. And then again, carry on spreading this out right up until that very edge, letting the surface tension do whatever it wants to do. And then I'll keep doing this until it is fully covered and evenly spread out. And then I'll burn off the bubbles. I'll show you how I'll do that. And because there's no silicone mold here, I can quickly go over this with a torch and burn off any bubbles that have come to the top, moving quickly. What I don't want to do is overheat that resin, because if I do, it'll exothermically cure it, and then you'll get those little marks that go all over the top. So what I'd rather do is this, and then leave it 10 minutes, let the resin cool down a bit, get a bit more level, and then go over it again. That's looking quite good at the moment. It will level out a little bit more. Unfortunately, I do not have anything big enough to cover this up. So if I get any bits of dust lay on it or anything like that, then I'm either going to have to put up with it or try keep an eye on it for the next few hours and pick them off individually. I just don't have anything big enough to cover it. Leave it 10-15 minutes, go over it again with a torch, and then I'll let it cure. Regarding the coasters, what I'm going to do is coat each one of those. Now, I've gone round and covered these. These are on several different layers of vinyl. And as we know, if we've got vinyl on there, then what will happen is the resin will peel off. So what I've done is, around each coaster, there's a slight gap and there's wood exposed. So that's not going to do it because it'll adhere well to that wood and it won't peel off. For the coasters, I'm working exactly the same way, but I'm propping them up on these empty yogurt pots. And what I'm going to do is 2 at a time. I'm getting down on the level of them and placing some resin in the middle like this. Now you do get about 30 minutes working time with this resin, so you get plenty of working time with it to do what you want to do. And like I said, it's so important if you're going to make coasters or you're making tabletops or coating pictures. This is the best stuff for coating pictures as well. If you use just an ordinary 1-to-1 epoxy, then what you'll find is it doesn't cure hard enough. It will scratch really easily, and also it won't cure to being that good a heat resistance. Now this is heat resistant up to the heat of a cup of tea or a hot cup of coffee. I wouldn't in any way be putting hot pans straight from the stove on this because it's certainly not designed for that. I wouldn't be making any trivets or anything else with it. So now they're covered, what I'm going to do is finish off the rest, leave them to sit for a while, and then go over them with a long neck lighter. Probably not a torch with these, they're only a small area. A long neck lighter will be fine for those. I really love these coasters. I wish I'd kept them for myself rather than give them to my son. Oh Jordan, if I'm still recording, don't leave that bit in while you're editing. Thank you kindly, thank you, thank you. So they're all covered now. They've had about 10 minutes, and all I'm going to do is go around them with a long neck lighter like this. Burn off any bubbles that come up to the top. There we go. I'll go once more over the table as well, and then I'll leave them to cure and I'll show you what they look like, all finished and amazing, I'm sure. But these are all touch dry now, and I did stick my fingerprint in the middle of that one about 12 hours ago to see how dry it was, knowing it wouldn't be dry, but there, it wouldn't be the same if it didn't stick my fingerprint into something. Everything I make has got a fingerprint in. And this is also lovely and dry, and what I'm going to do now is take off this tape that's going all the way around the edge. Although actually, I really quite like it. I think it looks quite nice on there, but it's not meant to be there, so we'll take that off. And that will just pull away all the way around, leaving a nice edge, and it won't take off any of that paint. And this tape is great for edges and things like that. There we go, so that's all lovely and clean. And now I want to show you how beautiful of a coat that is on the top there. So look at that, look how beautiful and thin and coat that is. There's no dome to that either, and that's why it's brilliant for pictures. It's not going to distort things by having a slight dome to it. It has covered that so well, and that is why it is so important to ensure that you use the right resin for the right job. And also, this is going to cure very hard and is going to be heat resistant enough to put hot drinks directly on it. I mean, I'm hoping people are going to use the coasters, but there we go. Now this has only been curing for 24 hours, so I would leave it at least 3 weeks before you actually use it to ensure that this resin is completely gone, fully hard, and is going to be as resistant as possible. But that is just the most awesome shine. Once it's had that fully cure, I'm going to turn it over then, because I don't want to turn it over now because I don't want to leave any imprints in it. Put the wheels back on, and then I'll show you what it looks like completely finished. And I think you're going to love it as much as I do. And don't forget, if you want to see how I made this table and how I upcycled this, get it looking like this, then check it out on my other channel. I'll link that at the end here, and I'll also link it in the description. This has been curing now for about 3 weeks, so it's lovely and hard. It's going to be a lot harder now to mark or damage this in any way. And it has come out absolutely like a glass finish as well. I'm so pleased with this. My son can't wait to take this home. And it'll wheel across the carpet really well, and then you can lock the wheels and use that anywhere in the house. He thinks it's my best project I've ever made. I'm not sure about that, but I love it. And he loves the fact that it's got his initials and poker joint in there. And the coasters again come out brilliantly. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, make sure that you check out the video on my other channel, which is linked now, on how I made this, and also enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.